So today I'm going to show you how to create a one-piece gingham that you can crochet all at once without having to worry about getting everything exactly the same size and taking the time to sew everything together at the end. So let's dig right in. Grab your hook and yarn. I'm Lavina Perry. This is Solo Stitching. Let's stitch. So I have created a little gingham sample here that we're going to work off of. Today I am using a G plus 4.5 millimeter hook. I'm using 3 colors of medium weight yarn, and I started with a chain of 40 stitches, and each square is going to be 8 stitches wide by 6 rows high, and that's going to create about a 2-inch by 2-inch square. So the key to doing these squares is that we are going to carry a color of yarn along the whole row so that we can just switch back and forth, and then when we get to the end of a block we're going to be switching colors. So I am to the end of this row, and this is how you would go ahead and start with whatever your color 1 is for your row. So once you have your row of chains done and you're ready to start your squares, you're going to be doing 8 stitches of one color and switching to 8 stitches of the next color, and then at the end you're going to turn and repeat it until you get to where you have your color change, and that's where I am now. So to do my color changes, I like to do a very clean color change where I will insert my hook and pull up a loop just like I was going to be doing a single crochet, and then I'm going to do the pull through on the stitch with my new color so that the bottom of the stitch completes the row, but now I'm working with my new color, and I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. There will be a chain 1 at the end of each row, and we're going to turn. Now typically I would be crocheting this in because I don't like to have a bunch of loose ends to work in at the end, so I try to do that while I'm crocheting. But for this tutorial, so that you can clearly see what I'm doing with the working yarns, I'm just going to leave that tail out because I was done with the green, so I went ahead and I clipped it off so I don't have to worry about carrying it along. And now I'm going to be doing a row of the dark gray and the light gray in the same pattern that I used in the first section. And the idea here is that we are wanting to work all of these pieces consecutively without having to break and have different squares. So I'm going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across, starting in the first stitch, and there is 8 stitches in each section. And it's important when you switch to do a new set of squares that you make sure that you're using the same pattern that you've used and you don't accidentally grab the wrong color. It will mess up your the progression of the colors. And I'm to the last stitch. So here I'm going to pull up a loop like I'm going to finish my single crochet, and then I'm going to add my second color, and I'm just going to pull up a loop. So that the base of my stitch is in my old color, but my loop that I'm going to be working my next stitch with is going to be in the new color. And again, typically I would crochet this in while I'm going along, but I'm going to leave it out so that you can clearly see the yarn that I'm actually working with and how everything works together. So this is where we will begin carrying this yarn along, because we don't want to have to cut it or bring in a new color at every time we do a color change. So I'm going to just start single crocheting with my new color, and I'm going to make sure that my old color is in front of the stitch each time. So now that we have that yarn in where it belongs, so you can see that I have this yarn above where I'm inserting my hook in front of the project, so that when I pull through and I'm completing my single crochet, this yarn is now crocheted inside of these stitches and you can't see it. And we're going to work that same technique for this entire project. So it will prevent us from having a million loose ends and doing a bunch of complicated color changes. So I'm just going to single crochet all the way to the end of this section, which is 8 stitches. And now I am to the last stitch. I'm going to insert and pull up a loop for my single crochet, but then I'm going to let go of the color I've been working with, and I'm going to pick up that color that I've been carrying along, and I'm going to complete the single crochet. And just pull that down. And now for the next section, I'm going to be carrying this color and working with the first color. And once you get the rhythm of this stitch, it gets to be a lot simpler to do. You don't feel like you're fumbling with so many moving parts. And it really is it's a very simple technique that can make your color changes so much simpler and really reduce the amount of finishing work that you have to do at the end of the project. And I've seen a lot of gingham blankets that were sewn together at the end, and it's just a lot of sewing that you have to do, and you have to make sure that all of your squares are exactly the same size and that they're all blocked, and this takes that completely out of it. So at the last stitch, I've pulled up my loop like I'm doing a single crochet, and now I'm going to let go of that color, pick up this color, and finish the single crochet with the new color, and begin working my single crochets with this yarn in front just being carried along the row. I'm just crocheting it into each stitch so that it's invisible, but it's readily available when I'm ready for my next color change. And we're to the last stitch. Do our color change. And start working with the next color, carrying that other color along with me. And the last stitch, complete the single crochet, And when I turn, I'm going to be working with the same color. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with a chain stitch and then do the turn. And when I begin working the row, I'm just going to bring that up, and it does leave, you can see that there's the little yarn that's being carried up with each row. That's totally fine, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of a border on the end of it. That will cover all of that up so that you don't see it. And we're going to begin working the single crochets in the same color. Carrying the lighter color along with me for my color change. It does take a little bit of practice just to get really good at manipulating the yarns and keeping them where they're supposed to be, but once you have it down, you just don't even think about it. It's just natural. All right, so we are to our color change. So I'm going to put this one down and pick up the new color. And once you're to the second row of a section, it makes it a lot easier because you already know what color you're working. You just keep working the same pattern from the first row. And we're going to be doing 6 rows of this. For each block of squares. There will be 6 rows. So for my mom's blanket that I made, I did 14 stitches across and 8 rows deep, but I did a 3rd loop half double crochet, so they were a bit taller. So if you're going to be applying this technique to any project, when you're doing your first set of blocks, make them as wide as you want them, and then when you're building up your rows, you'll need to measure. So however wide your stitches are, that's how tall they will need to be. So depending on the height of the stitching that you're using and the gauge of your stitching, that will affect how many rows you need to do by how many stitches. So we're to the last stitch. I'm going to go ahead and switch colors. And we'll finish out this row. And then I will come back and I will show you what it looks like at the end of this set of blocks. So that is the end of our second row. You can see our color blocks are really forming, and this is turning out really, really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off this section, and then I will come back and show you how it looks with the different blocks all enmeshed together. And there is 6 rows all finished. And you can see the lovely gingham pattern forming. So the next row is going to be a repeat of, or the next block is going to be a repeat of the second block, where it will be green, gray, green, gray, green. So just as a tip on this is, do your blocks when you're doing your chains and planning for how big you want your blocks to be. Do it in odd numbers of blocks so that you can begin and end with the same color, and then you will need 3 colors for the gingham pattern. So just as a little word of advice on that. So I did 8 times 5, 40, and then I chained 1. So when for the turning stitch, so I did 41 chains to start. For a blanket that would fit a queen size bed, I used a size K hook, and I did, I believe, I want to say 232, whatever it is, divided by 14. So you can see, like, you can do it in any size. You can make each of these squares any size that you want. It's just a matter of what size do you want them to be, what size would fit your project. So if you're measuring things out in advance, that makes it easier to create squares in the size that you need them. So that is how you make a one-piece gingham. No sewing together, no blocking the squares. Everything just gets made all in one solid piece, and it is really fast to do. It's really convenient to do, and it looks so cute when it's all made. So if you have any questions, drop down in the comments and let me know. I'll do my best to answer them for you. And I will put some written instructions down there as well. So if you want to go make this on your own, you can do that, just so that you have something to practice on. And I will also put a link to the ultimate guide to crochet for your mental health, because crochet is not just fun, it's good for you. And you can download that full color, really high quality PDF and start learning how to turn your crochet hobby into a tool for your mental and emotional health. And that's all I have for you. So until next time, happy stitching.